To stay or not to stay? That is the question.
I want to. I really want to.
What would stop you from staying? Astold by Canadian Immigrants OG. From the very beginning, she's here and she's doing it and she's making things happen. And she's obviously very briefed on immigration process. She's done her research. She's done some stuff and she's been able to navigate the changes in the system. And now she's navigating another change, a new change. What would stop you from staying? Quebec is special and things could change overnight.
There is that. And for some reason, the chaos has become the norm. But
in terms of immigration.
Yeah. So there is two things. Originally, I thought, okay, so similar to how each province has their own streams and there's also federal streams, Quebec has their own streams. So go to quebec.ca.
Okay. Nice. And in French. Great.
There's an option at the top. You can change it. See, you learning French today.
And you know what? Ebony is in French, well, bilingual daycare. So she's constant in French, all of that stuff. Yeah. So I gotta learn some French.
Yeah, I think it helps. And the language is actually a nice language.
It's nice when it's like I'm not knocking the fact. It's just don't make it so forceful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too. And the truth is, I think it's a good thing that they want us to learn French. I just think the approach is not the approach that they should use. Yeah. All right. So we're going to immigration. Yeah. The top right corner, far right. Yeah. Let's go to the skilled worker. Yeah. For me, the one that would be most applicable would be the PEQ, which is essentially the provincial version of the CEC, Canadian Experience Class. So under the PEQ, you can select that, and then we're going to select conditions. Wait, before, go back. So there is something here that talks about your QSC. So similar to how we had to get a CAQ as a student to come here, you have to get a CSQ to work here in Quebec. All right, so go to select conditions, and then we're gonna go to conditions for Quebec graduates. All right, so this now is where I've been spending the most of my days, like Will Smith, on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And this is where I found out the other day that I'm in a bit of a precarious position. So originally I thought I just needed to do the French, because if you notice, that fourth condition is to have a knowledge of oral French up to level 7. Okay, so let me explain this process now. You can stop sharing for a little bit. For the Francisation program, you have 7 levels. If you study 4 hours per week, 6 hours per week, 9 hours per week, or 12 hours per week. Okay?
And there's 7 levels.
Correct.
It's a black belt. It's a karate black belt. That's what it is. It's a university program.
With my schedule, 3 times per week, I had to do 3 sub-modules in order to complete 1 level. You get your, you do I don't want to call it an exam, an assessment. You do an assessment at each level when you've completed it, okay? So I calculated that in my mind, and I said, okay, it would take me at least 2 years, because I completed the first 2 levels, and I had to drop out of the third one to come 2 sub-levels. I had to drop out of the third one to complete that first level, right? So now, technically, I'm not complete no level. I'm still in
you get to pick up where you stopped, or you have to start over?
Yes, you get to pick up where you stopped. I don't know if that's the same for when you switch centers, but yeah. So in my mind, I calculated that and I said, okay, I want to stay in Quebec. I really like it here. I love Montreal. Christmas is absolutely beautiful. The snow is not as bad as Alberta. I have all my friends here now who have become like family. I love the church I attend. I don't want to move. And then I said, okay, if I do the francization, granted, if you learn on your own and learn more than you need to for this particular level, the teacher has autonomy to recommend that you jump a level. So you have that. But knowing me, and I mightn't find the time to do that, I was like, let's just do the worst case scenario where you have to go through each sub-level. It would take me at least 2 years to complete that. And I'm not trying to do that. Right?
And you have to finish. You have to finish
those 7 levels and do the exam to get to be able to even apply for PR here.
So, all right, hold on. Because the requirement says, yeah, you have knowledge of oral French equivalent to level 7 on this French word, something, immigrant, adults, something.
Right.
But is that just a language test? So a level 7 on a language test? Or you have to prove to them that you went through
No, it has to be so, okay. If I remembered, I would have taken my module sheet from that first sub-level. So they have an assessment thing where they have itemized what you should have learned in a particular level and sub-level. So if you have learned the oral for all of these itemized things that they have, and you can do the equivalent to what they assess for at level 7, then you get it. Then that's what this is saying. You have the competency. So whatever they assess for at level 7, if you have the oral skills to match that assessment, then you can check off this condition.
But you prove that by a test.
Right.
The TEF or whatever it is.
True.
Because people who are French speaking
for that differently.
People who are French speaking don't need to go to no school for sure them so them can speak French, because there's people from Congo who can speak French.
Which is true.
So I feel like this is probably the only way to prove it is a language test.
Is a language test. Yeah.
Like the IELTS, but the French version. If you want
but also the certificate of completion that you get from francization, you can use that like in a job, because you get like a thing with a printout, almost like a transcript of what you've learned, what you've accomplished, and you grade, and you can use that like to go to a job to say, hey, I know French.
That's commitment. That's not stuff. That's you are committed to the cause. And go learn French for 2 years, and it makes sense. Like languages for real. Like we know how we speak, and like my so Ebony's 3, right? And she took 3 years to have like very proper vocabulary. So you have to be immersed in the thing to learn it. I get it. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying like, you got to be committed if this is what you're trying to do.
And the truth is, the check at the end of the month is it's a little encouragement. It's a lot of encouragement, but time is not on my side.
Yeah.
Time is not on my side, and for me, I'd rather be able to apply for PR like in 2023. So now I'm viewing my options as to which way is the best way to do this, what avenue will be easier for me, and on top of that French, that I'd rather do the francization, knowing how I am. I found out recently that the diploma that I got may not qualify me either. So if you could share your screen again, I'll show that part of it. If you scroll down to the eligible diplomas.
Yes, I think I saw that.
Yes. So the eligible diplomas, bachelor's, master's, PhD, DCS, DVS. For me, I did an ACS, which is attestation of collegial studies. They have other avenues. As a matter of fact, recently, so here, for anybody who speaks French or studied in French, they recently opened up a new stream where if you studied in French, you skip postgraduate work permit and go straight to PR.
Oh, they're serious about their
Yeah,
French.
they are that
French is the rite
serious
of
about
passage.
their French.
If you got it,
Literally, it is. Literally, it is.
where's that?
So
Where would I find that? Because I know somebody right now who, what would I,
it was in a it was an announcement.
maybe it's an announcement and maybe it's not yet in effect.
Probably. Probably.
So maybe it's something to look out for. Because I'm seeing here where they were saying that the qualifications, because what on the lawyer's site, what I saw was pointing to the PEQ.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the PEQ, it says the conditions that you have to have the eligible diploma and you have to have eligible work experience in Quebec following your study program. So maybe it's something that they are
That's in the
considering.
works.
Maybe it's something that
Yeah.
they're putting in the, yeah. So maybe. And this might be another even episode where it's just like, okay, so say for instance, you decide to study in French and then get PR. PR is a provincial, not provincial, PR is permanent residency in Canada. And as a permanent resident, you have mobility rights. Do you have to stay in Quebec?
Right. But that is interesting though.
I'm really trying to push this French thing.
They really are. For me right now, next steps would definitely be to I'm weighing all my options, making sure again I'm at that research point to see what's the best thing for me. And in as much as I would absolutely love to stay in Quebec, I don't think it might be possible for me right now, especially because one thing I didn't mention is that in seeking a job, if you don't have enough French, like conversational French, you most likely won't get the job. So, yeah. So, you literally cannot really survive here because when the government came out with that announcement about they will be communicating with you as an immigrant post 6 months only in French. I think it had an impact on institutions in terms of workplaces. So prior to that announcement, it would have been easy for you to get a job even though you don't have it, don't have the French. It would have been easy for you unless you're working like in customer service or something that would require you speaking to francophones. It's harder for you now to get a job, probably any job really, that requires customer facing without having the French. But overall, that has been one of the major things that has hindered my job application is my knowledge of French. And then most of the people I interact with are English speakers.
Yeah.
So
you don't really get the practice.
Exactly. So even if I learn it, like in the class, I do great. But then because I'm not constantly practicing it and speaking with anybody, it's not as innate as it should be.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the major barriers for me. And if you're gonna I need to survive, I need a job, and the part-time job is great and I love it, but it won't pay the bills. So in order for me to build up that CEC, I need to find another job. So that for me would make it easier for me if I try to go to another province, unfortunately.
Which is another move. It's intro migration.
And it's hard for me to think about it. It has been really hard for me to think about it, to think about starting over again. All the things I went through, all the times when it was lonely, it was hard. And not having the support system that I've literally built from scratch here, and trying to build another one from scratch. It's like, bro, I don't want to do it. But I have to do what I have to do.
So what kind of position would you be looking for or qualified for as a skilled job that's on the NOC list in the right tier based on what you studied?
So that's some research that I've been doing. Audio editor falls under it. Video editing falls under it. Motion graphics falls under it. And so those areas of post-production, having studied what I've studied, would be ideal jobs for me.
Yeah.
The good thing about it is, if all else fail, may have my degree from Jamaica.
Oh, right. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And you did computer science.
I did, because I worked up to tier 2 level help desk while I was back home, and I did that for 5 years. So I can even apply for PR like come the end of December, with those qualifications back home.
So how much points do you have right now? Do you know?
The last time I checked with my I used my friend's English scores to test mine, to use on the calculator. And the last time I checked, my best case scenario would give me 503 points.
That is plenty.
With my Jamaican qualifications and my Canadian qualifications with the school.
You need to get the next percentage pool. You need to be in the pool. You would have been called in August.
Right?
You would have been called in August. I mean, right now they're high, but I think they're just testing the waters, I think, especially with this new category change, because obviously they're inconsistent with the drawers, and the numbers are kind of wonky. So the last time they called like 530 something, but I don't think it's gonna stay up there. Like they're just, but also it's the end of the year. So it's interesting to see what they're gonna do, because one, they have to meet their immigration targets by the end of the year.
True.
Right. So they might do strange things. Like right now, they're doing strange things with the parent and grandparent program, where they're calling people, inviting people who submitted interest from 2020. Okay. So they're doing strange things right now. Wow. They have to hit immigration targets. And so do your English test.
So I need to do the WES. I need to do the English test. I'm gonna do the CELPIP. Those two are my top priority right now.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Get it done as soon as you can. I'm gonna simulate your score for you right now. Convince you further. I'm gonna share my screen for anybody wondering, calculating express interest points. Okay. So CRS calculator. Okay. Usually the first one that comes up from the government, cic.gcc.ca, comprehensive ranking system tool. Okay. So you are single, never married, right?
Right.
You are, your age?
28.
Okay. Prime age. Okay. What's your level of education? So you have now 2 or more certificates or diplomas, right? So you have your bachelor's. You have a bachelor's, but you have also this program that you did in Canada. So that would call it the 2 or more certificates, diplomas, or degrees. One must be a program for 3 years or more. Your degree from Jamaica was 3 years.
4.
4 years, 3 years or more. Perfect. So you have 2 or more certificates. Have you earned a Canadian degree? Yes. And it was a 2-year certificate or diploma program. Official language, right? Say, are your tests less than 2 years old? Yes. We're gonna say you did CELPIP. I don't know how the CELPIP things score, but I'm gonna say you're smart and your future depends on it, and you're gonna get 100.
And for persons who are doing this this ranking, when you do it, I suggest you do the best case, do the worst case, and do the in between.
Yes.
To get an idea.
Yes, but because we know that Rochelle is gonna get 100%, we're not. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Sure.
All right. Skill working experience in Canada, we're gonna say none-ish, because you just, because as a student.
As a student, it doesn't count.
And it's less than a year because it's part-time odd stuff, right? Okay. In 10 years, how many total years of foreign work experience? And for anybody, foreign is outside of Canada, right? You worked for 3 years or more?
3 or more.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was working for 5 years.
Perfect. So we're gonna say no, you don't have any certificate from anybody. You don't have a job offer supported by an LMIA. You don't have a nomination certificate, and you don't have, do you have a brother or sister in Canada?
Not a soul.
Not a soul. That's not an option, but no.
Not a soul.
So no, calculate. All right, boom. Okay. We want more points than that. But if you're committed to the process and you can learn some French. Okay, so 489, we know that 489. So we want some more points on that, which is what the work experience would give you, even a 1 year work experience. So let us simulate now. We know that 489 is where you were, right? Let's do this real quick here. So 2 or more certificates. Yes. Calculate your score. See that? And that is with
the French.
With French. And not even the highest score. And that was like, what? Is that like 100 more points even?
Almost.
Them serious about them French thing.
They are. I tell you, they are.
All right, and then that's simulation number 2. So simulation number 2 is the second highest score on English, second highest score on French. Right? And we didn't change anything else. So what I'm going to simulate now is if you worked for 1 year. So so the second highest score. And them say self paper easier than IELTS, right? So
that's what I have heard. Because I had an Indian friend. She was like, yeah, I do self-pip. I did self-pip and it was easy. I said, well, if you can do it and it was easy and you're speaking broken English to me, yeah. I'll do the self-pip.
Yes.
It's a pity my IELTS did not. My IELTS expired because I had done it in 20
to go to school.
2019.
Okay. How much did you get? What do you remember your band?
I got a good score.
Yeah. All right. So this is with 1 year work experience, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. And you have a 3-year work permit. You have nothing to worry about. Nothing.
But yeah, definitely working on getting into the pool ASAP. And it's been a good run here in Canada.
Yes.
A friend of mine asked me, would you go back home? I would, to visit.
What I would say though about the express entry pool is to make sure that it makes sense to go in now based on the points that you have, the 489. Or if it just makes sense to wait a year, because of course the English test is going to be $300. The word education thing, which you should get anyway, is going to be around $300 versus just waiting, because there's no necessary immediate benefit to be a PR now versus in a year, because it's not trying to go back to school and get non-international student fees, which I'm pretty sure you're not trying to do right
now. No, ma'am.
Yeah. So just make sure that it makes sense so that the English test and all of that stuff isn't done now in vain, especially since you're going to get a long work permit versus doing it in a year and then just jumping into the pool. So just make sure, simulate your points again. Just make sure that it makes sense to go in immediately, or if it makes sense to wait. Of course, we don't know how low they're going to go, especially at the end of the year.
That is true.
So there's all of these things that take into consideration, because they could drop the points super low to meet their targets for the end of the year. So it's
something to keep in
mind. Just have to weigh your options. And I mean, even if you do the English test, it's going to be valid for 2 years anyway. So within a year, it still will be valid. It's just, so just do the math and make sure that it makes sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is Rochelle. This is from Jamaica to Quebec, and now potentially transitioning out of Quebec. And I'm sure we're going to catch up with her at some point in the near future to find out where she lands, where she ends up. I will definitely circulate your resume and to help you to network and all of that stuff, whatever connections I have. I will definitely pass it on. And you're in a good place. You're in good standing. School is done. You have 3 years on your work permits. And I think you have very, very little to worry about at this point in terms of immigration. It's just, of course, the stress of like getting the job and doing that adult stuff is what's next for you. So yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're here. Astoldby Canadian Immigrants OG. From the very beginning, she's here and she's doing it and she's making things happen. And she's obviously very briefed on the immigration process. She's done her research. She's done some stuff and she's been able to navigate the changes in the system. And now she's navigating another change, a new change. Thank you for watching. Of course, always remember to hit the like button. I'm always pointing in both directions because sometimes I just don't remember which way it's on. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We'll be giving out more useful information on Canadian immigration to help you along your Canadian immigration journey. Check out the Canadian Dreamers Club. The link is in the description if you want one-on-one support and access to myself as an immigration coach, Michael Kaiser, and Minerva McBean as our immigration consultant. Everything is in the description below. There's fun stuff happening in the club. We're a growing club. And sports day next year. I said it, can't take it back. I'll see you in the next video.